Do it alone until you become strong enough to stop needing permission, approval, or applause. There is a stage in life when support becomes uncertain, results become slow, and people stop believing in what you are building. That stage reveals something important. Are you working because people are watching, or because you have decided that your future deserves your effort? Do it alone until you win is not about pushing everyone away. It is about becoming responsible for your own direction. It is about working when nobody understands your goals, continuing after rejection, learning from mistakes, protecting your time, and staying consistent when results refuse to appear quickly. What happens when nobody checks on your progress? What happens when your plans receive doubt instead of encouragement? What happens when you feel tired, disappointed, and completely responsible for what happens next? This audiobook will teach you how to answer those moments with discipline and clear action. You will learn how to trust yourself, control your attention, recover from setbacks, and finish what you started. Stay with this audiobook because your biggest change may begin the moment you stop waiting for someone else to start it. Chapter 1. Accept that nobody owes you. Success. Success becomes much easier to understand the day you stop expecting other people to make it happen for you. Nobody owes you a better life because you worked hard yesterday. Nobody owes you recognition because you have good intentions. Your family may support you, your friends may encourage you, a good teacher may guide you, but the daily work that changes your life still belongs to you. This is not a harsh idea. It is a useful idea because responsibility gives you something you can actually control. A common reason people stay stuck is that they quietly expect life to become fair before they become disciplined. They wait for the right person to notice them. They wait for someone to give them a chance. They wait for more money. They wait for better conditions. They wait for confidence. Months pass while they keep preparing to begin. The problem is not always laziness. Many people are simply placing their progress in the hands of things they cannot control. Once you notice this habit, you can start removing it. There is an important difference between receiving help and depending on help. Help can make your progress easier. Dependence can stop your progress completely. A person who accepts help says that support is useful, but their effort remains their responsibility. A dependent person says that progress cannot happen until someone else acts first. That difference changes how you behave every morning. One person asks, "What can I do today?" The other person asks, "Who will help me today?" The first question creates action. Start by making a simple list of everything you want to improve. Write down your work, money, health, skills, relationships, habits, and personal confidence. Then separate the list into two parts. Put the things you can control on one side. Put the things you cannot control on the other side. Your effort belongs on the first side. Other people's opinions belong on the second side. Your preparation belongs on the first side. Other people's approval belongs on the second side. This small exercise teaches a powerful lesson because it shows exactly where your energy should go. Many people waste hours trying to control how others see them. They explain their decisions, they defend their plans, they check who liked their work, they worry about people who do not understand their goals. They replay small comments in their heads at night. This creates mental pressure without producing useful results. A better habit is to measure your behavior instead of measuring other people's reactions. Ask yourself how many hours you practiced, Ask how many tasks you completed. Ask what mistake you corrected. Those answers give you information you can use tomorrow. Nobody owing you success does not mean nobody should treat you well. It does not mean you should accept disrespect. It does not mean you must refuse support. It means you stop building your future around expectations that other people may never meet. This is an important form of emotional maturity. You can appreciate someone without making them responsible for your progress. You can accept encouragement without needing constant encouragement. You can work with people while still knowing that your discipline must remain yours. There is another lesson hidden inside this principle. Expectations can create anger when reality does not cooperate. A person may say that I worked hard, so I deserve success now. But effort and reward do not always arrive at the same time. You may study for months before passing an exam. You may apply for many jobs before receiving an offer. You may build a useful skill for a year before anyone notices it. The delay does not automatically mean the work is useless. It means results are often slower than emotion expects. This is where many people quit. They do not necessarily quit because the goal became impossible. They quit because they expected a faster response from life. Their effort feels invisible. Their confidence falls. They begin comparing themselves with people who appear to be moving faster. Then they change direction again. This creates a cycle of starting, waiting, doubting, and stopping. You can break that cycle by learning to judge progress through behavior before judging it through results. Create a daily scorecard for yourself. Keep it simple. Choose 3 actions that directly support the life you want. These actions should be measurable. You might read 10 pages, practice a skill for 40 minutes, complete one important work task, save a fixed amount of money, or exercise for 30 minutes. At the end of the day, record what you actually did. Do not record what you planned to do. Do not record what you wanted to do. Record what happened. This creates honest feedback and removes many excuses. The value of a daily scorecard is greater than it first appears. It teaches you to separate intention from action. People often judge themselves by what they meant to do. They say they wanted to exercise, they planned to study, they hoped to start the business. But your life is affected by repeated behavior rather than private intention. The scorecard brings your attention back to facts. You either practiced or you did not. You either completed the task or you did not. This honesty may feel uncomfortable at first, but it gives you a clear place to begin. Take another practical step. Stop using other people's behavior as the starting point for your own effort. Someone does not answer your message. Continue your work. Someone does not praise your progress. Continue improving. Someone does not believe in your ability. Continue learning. Someone receives an opportunity before you. Study what they did without turning their progress into an insult against yourself. This does not mean ignoring useful feedback. It means refusing to make another person's reaction the condition for your discipline. There is a simple psychological reason this works. Every time you act only after receiving approval, you train yourself to wait for approval. The brain becomes familiar with that pattern. You start looking outside yourself before making decisions. Your confidence becomes connected to reactions. But every time you complete a useful task without needing praise, you strengthen your ability to act independently. You are teaching yourself that action does not require an audience. That is a practical form of self-trust. Self-trust is not created by repeating positive statements in the mirror. It is built through evidence. You promise yourself that you will wake up at a certain time, and then you do it. You promise yourself that you will study, and then you study. You decide to stop wasting an hour each evening, and then you protect that hour. Each completed promise gives you evidence that your words can guide your behavior. Each broken promise gives you information about where your discipline needs work. This is much more useful than simply telling yourself to believe in yourself. Your environment also matters. People often blame their lack of discipline entirely on personal weakness. Sometimes the real problem is poor structure. Your phone sits beside your bed. Notifications remain active. Your work materials are difficult to find. Your most important task has no scheduled time. Easy entertainment is always available. These conditions make distraction convenient. You can change them. Put your phone away during focused work. Prepare tomorrow's materials tonight. Decide the first important task before going to sleep. Make useful behavior easier to start. You should also learn to recognize the difference between being alone and being isolated. Being alone can be useful because it gives you time to hear your own thoughts and examine your decisions. Isolation becomes harmful when you refuse every useful relationship. The goal is not to reject people. The goal is to stop requiring people to carry responsibilities that belong to you. A strong person can ask for advice. A strong person can accept correction. A strong person can work with others. But that person still takes responsibility for what happens next. There will be days when you feel tired and nobody notices. There will be mornings when your room is quiet and your plans feel far away. There will be evenings when you finish difficult work and nobody knows what it cost you. Those moments matter because they reveal whether your behavior depends on attention. The useful question is not whether someone saw your effort. The useful question is whether the effort moved you forward. Your private work still counts because your habits are being formed even without an audience. You also need to stop confusing fairness with entitlement. You deserve basic respect as a human being. You do not automatically deserve a specific career, income, relationship, position, or level of success. Those outcomes require skills, decisions, persistence, timing, and sometimes opportunities that you cannot control. Understanding this does not make life depressing. It makes your planning more realistic. You begin asking what skills are missing. You begin looking for better methods. You begin improving your preparation instead of complaining about the result. Use setbacks as information. Suppose you apply for 10 jobs and receive no offer. Instead of saying, "Nobody gives me a chance," examine the evidence. Is your resume weak? Are your skills suitable for the jobs? Are you applying for roles that match your experience? Are you preparing properly for interviews? Are you applying consistently? Each question points toward an action. This is how responsibility turns disappointment into education. You stop asking why life is against you and start asking what the situation is teaching you. The same principle applies to money. A person may earn little and feel that life has treated them unfairly. Their situation may genuinely be difficult, but the useful response still begins with what can be controlled. Track spending for 30 days. Separate needs from impulse purchases. Learn one valuable skill. Study how people in your field increase their income. Apply for better opportunities. Build a small amount of savings. These actions do not guarantee quick wealth. They increase your control over your financial decisions. Relationships require the same honesty. You cannot force someone to understand your goals. You cannot make another person become more responsible. You cannot control whether someone stays in your life. You can control how clearly you communicate. You can control the boundaries you set. You can control the people you choose to spend time with. You can control whether you keep repeating the same unhealthy pattern. Responsibility does not give you control over others. It gives you control over your own response. A useful daily habit is to ask yourself 3 questions before going to bed. What did I control today? What did I waste energy trying to control? What will I do differently tomorrow? Keep your answers short. Do not write a long speech about your day. Write facts. Maybe you spent an hour checking other people's progress online. Maybe you avoided an important conversation. Maybe you completed the hardest task before lunch. The purpose is not to judge yourself harshly. The purpose is to become more accurate about your own behavior. There is also a practical benefit to doing important work without waiting for company. You become faster at starting. You no longer need a group to create momentum. You no longer need someone to remind you every day. You can sit at a desk and begin. You can walk into the gym and complete your routine. You can open the book and study. You can practice speaking alone. You can review your mistakes privately. This independence becomes valuable because many important improvements happen during ordinary hours when nobody is watching. Do not wait until you feel completely ready. Readiness often develops through repeated action. A person learns to speak clearly by speaking. A person becomes organized by organizing. A person becomes disciplined by practicing discipline. A person becomes confident by keeping promises to themselves. You do not need perfect confidence before starting. You need enough honesty to identify the next useful action. Then you need enough discipline to complete it. Your next level may require fewer explanations and more evidence. You do not need to announce every goal. You do not need to convince everyone that you are serious. You need a routine that produces visible improvement. Let your calendar show your priorities. Let your completed work show your discipline. Let your growing skills show your effort. This approach reduces unnecessary pressure because you stop performing progress for other people and start building progress for yourself. There is a quiet strength in knowing that your future is not waiting for someone else's permission. You can begin learning today. You can improve your schedule today. You can correct one habit today. You can make one difficult decision today. You can stop blaming someone today. You can spend one focused hour today. None of these actions require a perfect life around you. They require ownership of the part that belongs to you. Accepting that nobody owes you success does not make you alone in life. It makes you responsible for your direction. You can still receive help. You can still build friendships. You can still work with a team. You can still learn from people who have more experience. But you no longer sit still, waiting for someone else to create the life you want. You become the person who gets up, studies the situation, chooses the next action, and does the work. Tomorrow morning, do not begin by checking who noticed you. Begin by checking what matters. Choose one task that improves your future. Give it your full attention. Complete it before you search for approval. At night, look honestly at your actions and record what you learned. Repeat that process the next day. Over time, you will have something stronger than temporary excitement. You will have proof that you can depend on your own actions. That proof changes how you work, how you make decisions, and how you face difficult days. Chapter 2. Start working before anyone understands you. Most worthwhile work looks unclear before it produces evidence. A new skill can look unnecessary. A new business can look unrealistic. A new routine can look strange to people who know your old habits. This is why starting before everyone understands you requires more than courage. It requires the ability to work without immediate social approval. You must learn to separate being misunderstood from being wrong. Those are not the same thing. People often explain their plans too early because they want relief from uncertainty. They tell friends what they are building. They describe the changes they want to make. They talk about the future they want. Then they watch the reactions. Someone laughs. Someone doubts them. Someone gives an opinion without knowing the details. The person feels discouraged before doing any real work. The problem was not the goal. The problem was giving other people's early reactions too much influence. A better approach is to let your first stage be quiet. You do not need to hide everything. You simply need to spend more time doing the work than explaining the work. This gives you something valuable. You get real information. You discover what is difficult. You notice what needs to change. You learn whether your idea actually works. Your first results will teach you more than 10 conversations about what you hope to accomplish. Take a simple example. You decide to learn a new language. During the first month, you may struggle to remember basic words. Your pronunciation may feel uncomfortable. You may make mistakes while speaking. Someone watching you for 5 minutes might think you are not good at it. That judgment means very little. What matters is whether you practice consistently and improve from one week to the next. Early performance is often a poor measure of long-term ability. This principle applies to almost every serious improvement. The beginning is usually awkward because you are still developing the skill. A person learning to write may produce poor sentences at first. Someone learning sales may struggle to speak confidently. Someone starting exercise may feel weak after a short session. A person learning to manage money may make several small mistakes before understanding their spending patterns. You should expect this stage instead of treating it as proof that you should stop. There is an important difference between feedback and approval. Feedback gives you information that can improve your work. Approval gives you emotional comfort. You need useful feedback. You do not need constant approval. Ask people specific questions about your work instead of asking whether they like your goal. Ask what could be improved. Ask what seems unclear. Ask where you made a mistake. These questions create learning. Asking everyone whether you will succeed usually creates opinions that you cannot use. Your work should also have a private measurement system. Suppose you are trying to become better at writing. Do not measure yourself only by how many people react to your writing. Measure how many pages you practice. Count how many pieces you complete. Track how many errors you identify. Compare your work from one month to the next. This gives you a more accurate picture. External attention can change for many reasons. Your practice record tells you whether you are actually doing the work. Another useful habit is to delay public judgment. Give yourself a period where the only goal is learning and building. This could be 30 days for a habit, 90 days for a serious skill, or longer for a major project. During that period, avoid making daily decisions based on comments from other people. Review your own evidence at fixed times. This prevents every small reaction from changing your direction. People may also misunderstand your priorities because they are familiar with your previous behavior. Suppose you used to spend every evening watching videos, playing games, or scrolling through your phone. Then you start studying for 2 hours each night. Someone may say you have changed too much. Another person may ask why you are taking everything so seriously. Their reaction is understandable because they remember the old pattern, but their comfort with your old behavior does not determine what is best for your future. This is one reason personal change can create tension. Your improvement changes your schedule. Your schedule changes your availability. Your availability changes how often you participate in old activities. Some people may interpret that change personally. You do not need to fight them. You can explain your priorities respectfully and continue. You are not required to make everyone comfortable with every decision that improves your life. Working before being understood also means learning to tolerate incomplete recognition. You may do excellent work and receive no praise for a long time. You may help a project succeed while someone else receives more attention. You may study a skill for months before anyone notices your improvement. This is difficult because humans naturally pay attention to social feedback. But you can train yourself to value progress even when it is not publicly rewarded. Try this exercise for 7 days. Choose one important task each morning. Complete it before checking social media, messages, or other people's opinions about your work. Keep the task connected to your long-term goal. At the end of the day, write down what you completed. Do not post about it. Do not announce it. Do not look for compliments. After 7 days, review the results. You will learn whether quiet work changes your behavior differently from public promises. There is another reason early privacy can improve performance. Talking about a goal can create a temporary feeling of progress. You describe the plan and receive encouraging reactions. For a short time, you feel productive, but nothing has actually been completed. The brain can confuse discussion with movement. This is why some people become excellent at describing what they will do while remaining inconsistent in what they actually do. Less discussion can leave more energy available for execution. You should also be careful with people who give strong opinions without asking for details. Someone may tell you that your idea will fail because they would never do it. That statement tells you about their preference, not necessarily about your possibility. Listen carefully, but evaluate the source. Does this person have experience in the area? Have they tested the method? Do they understand your situation? Can they identify a specific weakness? Useful criticism contains information. Random doubt does not. At the same time, do not use the idea of being misunderstood as an excuse to ignore every warning. That would be another form of poor judgment. Sometimes people point out real problems. Your job is to examine the criticism rather than react emotionally. Write down the concern. Look for evidence. Test the idea on a small scale. Change the part that does not work. Keep the part that does. Being independent does not mean being stubborn. It means making decisions based on evidence instead of pressure. Your first responsibility is to become competent enough to judge your own work. This takes practice. Learn the basics of your field. Study people who have already solved similar problems. Take notes. Test what you learn. Record the results. Correct mistakes. Ask experienced people focused questions. Competence gives you better independence because you no longer need every person around you to tell you whether you are making progress. Start paying attention to the hours that nobody sees. Those hours often determine what people eventually notice. The quiet study session matters. The early practice matters. The rejected application matters. The draft that nobody reads matters. The workout completed without an audience matters. Each one develops a behavior pattern. The goal is not to look impressive during the beginning. The goal is to become capable enough that your results can eventually speak for themselves. There will be moments when you want someone to say that you are doing the right thing. That desire is normal. Do not be ashamed of it. Just do not make it the condition for continuing. You can appreciate encouragement without depending on it. You can accept criticism without surrendering your direction. You can listen to advice without handing over your judgment. This balance allows you to remain teachable while still taking ownership of your choices. Make your daily routine stronger than your need for recognition. Set a work period. Put your phone somewhere you cannot easily reach it. Decide exactly what must be completed. Work until the planned session ends. Record the result. Then move on with your day. Repeat this process tomorrow. The routine may feel ordinary. That is exactly why it works. Real progress often comes from ordinary actions repeated long enough to produce a measurable difference. Your life does not need to make sense to everyone around you before you begin improving it. Some people will understand later. Some may never understand. Neither outcome should decide whether you practice, study, build, save, create, or improve. Give yourself enough time to develop real evidence. Work on the skill. Correct the weak parts. Protect your attention. Stay open to useful criticism. Then let the quality of your work become clearer through results rather than explanations. Start today with one task that matters to your future and complete it quietly. Do not wait for everyone to understand why you are doing it. Do not spend the day defending your decision. Use that energy to learn, practice, and improve. By the end of the day, you should have something real that did not exist that morning. Then repeat the process tomorrow. That is how private effort gradually becomes visible progress. Chapter 3. Keep moving when your support disappears. Support can make difficult work easier, but it cannot be the foundation of your discipline. People change their priorities. Friends become busy. Family members may stop encouraging you. A person who once helped you may move in another direction. This can hurt because support often becomes part of our routine without us noticing. The real test begins when the familiar encouragement is no longer there and the work still needs to be done. One of the most useful skills you can develop is learning how to continue without emotional reinforcement. You may wake up and feel no excitement about the task ahead. Nobody may ask whether you completed it. Nobody may notice that you stayed up late learning something difficult. You still have a choice. You can allow the missing support to stop your routine, or you can adjust your routine so that it does not depend on constant support. That adjustment is a practical form of maturity. Start by identifying exactly what kind of support has disappeared. Is it money? Is it advice? Is it encouragement? Is it accountability? Is it transportation? Is it someone's time? Is it access to an opportunity? Be precise, because different problems require different responses. A person who loses encouragement needs a different solution from someone who loses financial support. Clear identification prevents emotional confusion from becoming a bigger problem than the original setback. Suppose someone used to study with you every evening and suddenly stops. You may feel that studying alone is harder. The useful response is not to wait indefinitely for that person to return. Create a new structure. Choose a fixed study time. Prepare the material before starting. Set a small target for each session. Keep a record of completed work. Review your progress at the end of the week. You have replaced external accountability with a system that you can operate yourself. This is an important lesson because many people confuse motivation with structure. Motivation depends heavily on how you feel. Structure depends on what you have already decided. On a good day, motivation may make work easy. On a difficult day, structure tells you what happens next. This is why routines are valuable. They reduce the number of decisions you need to make while tired or disappointed. You do not have to negotiate with yourself every morning. There is also a hidden emotional problem after support disappears. You may start asking whether people stopped supporting you because you are failing. That conclusion is often unsupported. People have their own problems, responsibilities, financial limits, and changing interests. Someone becoming less available does not automatically mean that your goal has become less valuable. Separate the person's availability from your judgment about yourself. This simple distinction can prevent unnecessary self-doubt. Another useful practice is building several sources of support instead of relying completely on one person. Learn from books, take a course, join a useful community, speak with experienced people, use a planner, keep written records. Develop skills that allow you to solve more problems yourself. This does not mean becoming distant from people. It means reducing the risk of having your entire progress stop because one person becomes unavailable. You should also prepare for predictable periods of low support. Before beginning a difficult goal, ask yourself what happens if the person helping me becomes unavailable. What will I do if money becomes tight? What will I do if my schedule changes? What will I do if my first plan fails? These questions are not negative thinking, they are preparation. A strong plan includes a response for common disruptions instead of assuming that every week will remain comfortable. Consider a person trying to build a new career while working a regular job. Their friend may encourage them during the first few months. Later, the friend becomes busy and stops asking about the project. The person feels forgotten. But the real opportunity is to move from emotional accountability to personal accountability. They can schedule 3 weekly work sessions. They can set monthly skill targets. They can track applications or completed projects. They can review their results every Sunday. The goal continues because the system continues. There is another skill worth developing. Learn to continue at a smaller pace rather than stopping completely. People often believe they must maintain their ideal routine every day. Then, one difficult week arrives. They cannot study for 2 hours, so they study nothing. They cannot exercise for an hour, so they skip the whole week. They cannot work on a project for an entire evening, so they do not touch it at all. This all-or-nothing pattern causes unnecessary breaks. Create a minimum version of your routine. On normal days, perhaps you study for 1 hour. On difficult days, study for 15 minutes. The shorter session does not replace serious work, but it protects continuity. You keep the habit alive while your circumstances are difficult. This approach is especially useful during periods of stress, travel, financial pressure, or emotional disappointment. The goal is to adjust the amount of work without abandoning the direction. Pay attention to what happens after a missed day. One missed day is an event. Turning it into a week is a decision. You may feel disappointed because you failed to follow your plan. Accept the fact without creating a long story about yourself. Do not spend 3 days criticizing yesterday. Use the next available hour. Open the book. Make the call. Clean the workspace. Complete the next small task. Recovery speed is often more important than perfect consistency. You can also prepare a recovery list before you need it. Write down 5 actions that help you return to your routine after a difficult period. One could be cleaning your workspace. Another could be reviewing your main goal. Another could be completing a short task. Another could be planning the next 3 days. Another could be going to bed early. When your mind is tired, a prepared list saves decision-making energy. You are not trying to solve your entire life in one evening. You are restoring normal movement. Support can disappear for another reason. Sometimes people stop helping because they do not see enough progress. That can feel painful, especially when you are counting on their confidence. Do not respond by trying to prove yourself through emotional arguments. Improve your process. Find the weakness. Get better at the skill. Produce stronger work. Ask for specific feedback from someone qualified. Your response should be development rather than resentment. You should also learn to recognize the difference between useful dependence and harmful dependence. A surgeon depends on a medical team. A business owner may depend on employees. A student may depend on teachers. Healthy cooperation is not weakness. The problem begins when you cannot function at all without one specific person's presence. Learn enough about your responsibilities that you can make basic decisions without waiting for someone else to rescue you. There will be quiet evenings when you notice that nobody is checking on your progress. Use those evenings to build internal discipline. Sit down at your desk. Feel the tiredness in your body. Notice the temptation to open your phone. Then make a small decision that supports your future. You do not need to feel powerful. You need to act according to the decision you already made. This teaches your mind that discomfort does not automatically control behavior. A practical weekly review can make this easier. Once a week, write down what moved forward, what stopped, and what caused the interruption. Do not only record failures, look for patterns. Perhaps your work stops whenever you sleep late. Perhaps you lose focus after spending too much time online. Perhaps you depend on another person's schedule. Perhaps your goals are too vague. A weekly review turns repeated problems into visible patterns. Once a pattern becomes visible, you can design a response. Do not make the mistake of becoming bitter toward people because they could not continue supporting you. Gratitude and independence can exist together. Appreciate what someone gave you without expecting them to give it forever. A person may have helped you during one stage of your life and still have no role in the next stage. That does not erase the value of their earlier help. It simply means your responsibilities have changed. Your strongest routines should survive ordinary disappointment. You should be able to continue after a friend cancels. You should be able to continue after criticism. You should be able to continue after a rejection. You should be able to continue after an unexpected expense. The goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to stop making every emotional change a command to change your behavior. Today, identify one area where your progress depends too heavily on another person. Write down exactly what you receive from that person. Then create one replacement system that you can control. Set a schedule. Learn the missing skill. Find another source of information. Create a checklist. Save a small emergency amount. Ask a different qualified person for guidance. Take one practical step that makes your progress less fragile. The deeper lesson is simple. Support is valuable, but your ability to continue matters more. People may come and go during different stages of your life. Your circumstances may change without warning. Your routine must be flexible enough to survive those changes. Keep the important goal clear. Reduce the size of the task when necessary. Learn from every interruption and return quickly after setbacks. Progress becomes more reliable when your next action does not depend on whether someone else is standing beside you. A useful next step is to build your personal backup system today and test it during your next difficult week. Chapter 4. Handle rejection without questioning your worth. Rejection can hurt deeply because it often feels personal, even when the decision is based on something completely separate from your value as a person. A job application can be rejected because another candidate has more experience. A proposal can be declined because the timing is wrong. A relationship can end because two people want different things. A business idea can fail because customers do not need the product in its current form. The result is real, but the meaning you attach to that result may be completely wrong. The first skill is learning to separate an outcome from an identity. Losing an opportunity means you lost that opportunity. It does not prove that you are a failure. Receiving criticism means someone found a weakness in your work. It does not prove that you are a weak person. This distinction matters because your mind naturally wants simple explanations. After rejection, it may say something broad such as, "Nobody wants me," or "I am not good enough." Those statements feel powerful because they explain everything at once, but they usually contain very little useful information. Use facts instead of labels. Replace "I am unsuccessful" with "I did not get this position." Replace "Nobody respects me" with "This person rejected my proposal." Replace "I always fail" with "This attempt did not work." Notice how much more precise the second version becomes. Precision reduces emotional confusion. Once you describe the event accurately, you can study it. You can ask what happened, what caused it, what you could improve, and what remains outside your control. Rejection becomes more educational when you slow down your first reaction. Do not immediately send an angry message. Do not make a major decision while your emotions are high. Do not delete your work because you feel embarrassed. Give yourself time to experience the disappointment without allowing it to make every decision. Take a walk, drink some water, sit somewhere quiet. Write down exactly what happened. Your body may feel heavy and your mind may replay the conversation, but you do not have to act on every thought that appears during that period. There is a useful rule you can practice after difficult rejection. Separate the event into 3 categories. The first category contains facts. The second contains interpretations. The third contains actions. For example, the fact may be that an employer chose another candidate. Your interpretation may be that you are not capable. Your action could be improving one skill and applying somewhere else. This simple separation prevents an interpretation from pretending to be a fact. You also need to understand that rejection contains different types of information. Sometimes it reveals a real weakness. Sometimes it reveals a mismatch. Sometimes it reveals timing. Sometimes it tells you almost nothing. A person may reject your proposal because their budget changed. A customer may not buy because your price does not match their needs. A manager may choose someone with a specific qualification. You cannot improve from rejection until you understand what kind of rejection you received. Ask for useful feedback whenever the situation allows it. Do not ask someone to make you feel better. Ask what specific factor influenced the decision. Ask what skill or part of your work could be stronger. Ask what would make your next attempt better. Some people will not provide an answer. Others will give vague comments. Accept that. Your responsibility is to seek information without demanding that every rejection teach you something clear. One of the most practical ways to become less afraid of rejection is to increase your exposure to it. This does not mean chasing rejection for entertainment. It means taking enough reasonable chances that rejection becomes a normal part of effort. Apply for the position, submit the proposal, ask for the meeting, publish the work, make the offer, enter the competition. The more carefully chosen attempts you make, the less likely one negative response is to define your entire emotional state. People often avoid opportunities because they are trying to protect their self-image. They would rather say, "I never tried," than try and hear no. This feels safer in the short term, but it creates a serious long-term cost. You protect yourself from embarrassment while also protecting yourself from progress. You cannot receive opportunities that you never request. You cannot learn from work that you never submit. You cannot discover your real ability by constantly choosing situations where failure is impossible. Create a rejection record for important attempts. Write down the opportunity, your preparation, the response, and what you learned. Keep the record factual. After 10 attempts, review the patterns. You may discover that your first applications were weak, but improved later. You may notice that you keep making the same mistake. You may find that some rejections had nothing to do with your performance. This turns isolated emotional experiences into useful data. There is also an important lesson about comparison. After rejection, you may immediately search for the person who got what you wanted. You look at their experience. You compare their appearance, income, education, skills, or social position with your own. This rarely gives you a fair answer. You do not know their full circumstances. You do not know what they practiced before you noticed them. You do not know what opportunities they received. Study successful people for useful behavior, but do not use their outcome as evidence against your own worth. Another problem appears when people let one rejection contaminate unrelated areas of life. Someone loses a job and then stops exercising. Someone experiences a breakup and then stops studying. Someone's business fails and then they stop taking care of their finances. The original disappointment spreads because the person unconsciously decides that everything is going badly. Protect the parts of your life that are still working. Keep your basic routines. Eat properly. Sleep at a reasonable time. Continue your work. Stay connected with healthy people. Stability gives your mind room to recover. You should also learn to reject yourself less quickly than other people reject you. One person says no, and you immediately stop trying. One employer declines you, and you decide that the entire career is impossible. One customer does not buy, and you assume nobody will ever buy. This is premature judgment. Let the market, the process, and repeated attempts provide enough information before you make a major conclusion. There is a powerful difference between changing your approach and abandoning your value. Suppose your first business offer receives little interest. You can change the price, improve the explanation, study the customer's needs, change the target group, improve the product, test a different method. None of these changes require you to declare yourself worthless. They require you to become more accurate. Good personal growth often involves changing your methods while keeping your basic respect for yourself intact. Rejection can also teach you where your identity is too dependent on outcomes. Notice what happens inside you after someone says no. Do you immediately feel smaller? Do you stop speaking? Do you avoid people? Do you become angry? Do you need someone else to tell you that you are still valuable? These reactions can show you where your self-respect needs stronger foundations. Your worth should not rise and fall every time another person makes a decision about you. Build those foundations through behavior. Keep commitments you make to yourself. Learn useful skills. Treat people with respect. Admit mistakes. Take responsibility for your choices. Maintain your standards even when nobody is watching. These actions create a stable sense of self because they are based on character and conduct rather than public results. You may lose a competition while still knowing that you prepared honestly. You may lose a client while knowing that you handled the situation professionally. You may be rejected while still respecting the person who made the decision. There will be rejection that feels especially painful because you genuinely wanted the outcome. Do not pretend that it does not hurt. You can acknowledge disappointment without turning it into self-hatred. Say the honest sentence to yourself. I wanted this, and I am disappointed that it did not happen. Then add another fact. This result does not decide what I do next. This allows emotion to exist without giving it control over your future. Use a recovery routine after serious disappointment. Give yourself a short period to process the event. Write down what happened. Identify what you can learn. Decide whether an action is needed. Then return to one normal part of your daily life. It might be your morning walk. It might be your study session. It might be your regular work. Returning to ordinary behavior sends an important message to your mind. One painful event has happened, but your entire life has not stopped. You can also prepare a rejection sentence before you need it. Keep it simple. This was a no to this opportunity, and not a final judgment about me. The purpose is not to repeat positive words without evidence. The purpose is to prevent your mind from making a larger claim than the facts support. Use the sentence only as a reminder to examine the event accurately. Your next attempt should be informed by the previous one. Do not simply repeat the same behavior and hope for a different result. Change one important variable. Improve your preparation. Contact a better person. Strengthen the proposal. Practice the interview. Study the requirement again. Ask for feedback. Make the next attempt more intelligent than the previous attempt. This is how rejection becomes part of learning, rather than a reason to stop learning. Some rejection will never make sense to you. You may never receive an explanation. You may never know why someone chose another person. Accepting that uncertainty is part of becoming emotionally stronger. You do not need every unanswered question to move forward. You need enough clarity to decide your next useful action. Sometimes the most mature response is to stop searching for an explanation that nobody can provide and return your attention to what you can build. Your worth is not a prize handed to you by employers, customers, friends, partners, or strangers. Their decisions can affect your opportunities, but they do not have to control your opinion of yourself. Learn from their decisions, correct real weaknesses, improve your methods, accept genuine responsibility, but do not turn one person's no into a permanent sentence about who you are. The next time rejection arrives, record the facts before you judge yourself. Give the event a name that describes what actually happened. Find one lesson that can improve your next attempt. Then protect your normal routine and take another useful action. You do not need to become unaffected by rejection. You need to become skilled at responding to it without destroying your confidence or abandoning your direction. Chapter 5. Build your future without seeking permission. Your future does not require everyone to agree with your plans before you begin building it. Many people spend years waiting for approval from family members, friends, co-workers, or people they consider more successful. They want someone to say that their decision is safe. They want confirmation that their idea will work. They want permission to change direction. The problem is that other people cannot live your life for you. They can offer experience, warnings, and useful information, but the responsibility for your choices remains yours. A common mistake is confusing respect with obedience. You can respect your parents and still choose a different career. You can respect your friends and still change your habits. You can appreciate a teacher and still decide that another path suits you better. Respect means listening carefully and considering another person's experience. It does not mean giving that person control over every important decision. Learning this distinction can prevent years of living according to expectations that were never truly yours. Start by identifying the decisions you keep postponing because you are waiting for approval. Write them down. Perhaps you want to change your job. Perhaps you want to learn a skill. Perhaps you want to start saving money. Perhaps you want to move to a different city. Perhaps you want to stop spending time with people who constantly distract you. Do not judge the decisions yet. Just identify them. Seeing the list clearly can reveal how much of your life is being delayed by fear of other people's reactions. Now divide those decisions into 3 groups. The first group contains choices that affect only your personal direction. The second group contains choices that affect other people and require discussion. The third group contains choices that carry serious risks and require expert information. This prevents independence from becoming recklessness. You do not need permission to improve your daily routine, but a major financial decision may require careful research. A career change may require planning. Independence means taking responsibility for gathering the information needed to make a good choice. There is a simple test you can use before asking someone for approval. Ask yourself whether you are seeking information or emotional permission. Information helps you make a better decision. Permission often means you already know what you want, but feel afraid to act without someone saying yes. This difference is important. You might ask an experienced worker how a career change works. That is useful. You might ask 10 people whether they think you are capable of changing careers. That may only increase confusion. People often seek permission because they are afraid of being blamed. Suppose you choose a career and it does not work. You may worry that someone will say they warned you, so you avoid choosing at all. This feels safer because there is no visible mistake. But avoiding a decision is still a decision. You are choosing to remain where you are because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Years later, the cost of avoiding action can be much greater than the discomfort of making a careful mistake. Building your future requires accepting that some decisions will be imperfect. You will not have complete information. You will make choices with limited experience. You may change your mind. You may discover that your first plan was wrong. That does not mean you should wait until certainty arrives. Instead, use small experiments whenever possible. Test the idea before making the largest commitment. Take a short course before changing careers. Freelance before leaving your job. Track your expenses before making a major budget change. Practice the skill before investing heavily in it. This approach gives you evidence before commitment. It also reduces unnecessary fear. Instead of asking whether a new path will definitely work, ask what you can test within the next 30 days. That question turns a large, uncertain decision into a smaller, practical experiment. You can learn from the result. Then you can adjust your plan. Good decisions are often built through several small learning cycles rather than one perfect moment of certainty. Your environment can make independent decisions harder. Some families strongly value traditional careers. Some social groups criticize people who take different paths. Some workplaces reward people for staying predictable. If you change your direction, people may ask why you are doing something different. You do not need to turn every question into a debate. A simple explanation is enough. You can say that you have considered the decision carefully and are working on it. Then return to the work. Do not waste your energy trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Explain your decision to the people who genuinely need to understand it. Listen to people who have relevant experience. Ignore unnecessary commentary. There is a major difference between constructive concern and casual criticism. Constructive concern points to a specific risk. Casual criticism often attacks the decision without offering useful evidence. Learn to tell them apart. A person who wants to build a different future must also learn basic financial discipline. Independence becomes difficult when every decision depends on immediate income. Build an emergency reserve. Track your spending. Reduce unnecessary debt. Learn where your money goes each month. Increase your valuable skills. These actions give you more choices. You do not need to become wealthy before making independent decisions. You need enough financial awareness to understand the consequences of your choices. Time deserves the same attention. People often say they want a different future, while giving most of their free time to activities that produce no progress toward that future. Look at your last 7 days. Write down where your hours actually went. Do not estimate from memory if you can check your schedule or phone usage. Compare the time spent on entertainment with the time spent learning, working, exercising, planning, or building useful relationships. The results may be uncomfortable, but they provide information. Then make one change. Protect 1 hour each day for the future you say you want. Use that hour for a specific activity. Do not call it personal development and leave it vague. Study accounting, practice writing, learn a language, build a portfolio, apply for jobs, study sales, exercise, read a serious book and take notes. A future becomes more realistic when it has scheduled behavior attached to it. You should also stop waiting for confidence before making reasonable decisions. Confidence often develops after you see yourself handling responsibility. A person who repeatedly makes small decisions, follows through, reviews the results, and corrects mistakes, develops stronger judgment. Confidence then comes from experience rather than imagination. You do not need to tell yourself that you are fearless. You need evidence that you can make a decision and handle what follows. There is another important part of building your future. Learn to communicate your decisions without becoming defensive. You do not need to become aggressive just because you are independent. Someone can disagree with you and still deserve respect. Listen, ask questions, explain your reasoning, consider the evidence, then make your decision. Independence is not about winning every conversation. It is about being able to choose your direction without losing control of your emotions. Your closest relationships may require special care. If your choices affect a spouse, children, business partners, or other people who share responsibilities with you, do not use independence as an excuse to ignore them. Discuss major decisions openly, consider their needs, explain the risks, build a plan together when appropriate. Taking responsibility includes understanding who will be affected by your choices. Personal freedom without responsibility can create problems for the people around you. You also need to accept that some people will become less comfortable with you as you become more independent. Your old behavior may have made you predictable. Your new behavior may change that. You may stop joining every unnecessary activity. You may start saving money instead of spending it socially. You may decline opportunities that do not fit your priorities. People who benefited from your old habits may not like the change. That reaction is information, but it is not automatic proof that your new direction is wrong. Use a personal decision journal for major choices. Write the decision, the reason for making it, the information you considered, the risks you identified, and the result you expect. Then review the decision later. This teaches you how your own judgment works. You may discover that you regularly underestimate costs. You may notice that you avoid decisions involving uncertainty. You may find that your first instincts are useful in some areas and unreliable in others. Self-knowledge improves when you examine your decisions rather than simply remembering their outcomes. Do not build your future around proving someone wrong. That can create temporary energy but weak long-term direction. A better reason to change your life is that the new direction fits your values, abilities, responsibilities, and goals. Someone else's doubt should not become the center of your plan. Your future should be about what you are trying to create, not about winning an argument with someone who doubted you. There will be moments when you still feel uncertain. That is normal. The goal is not to eliminate uncertainty. The goal is to become capable of making careful decisions while uncertainty exists. Gather information, start small, measure results, ask qualified people for advice. Protect your finances, review your behavior, adjust your plan. This process gives you something stronger than permission. It gives you personal judgment. Today, choose one decision you have been delaying because you are waiting for someone else's approval. Write down why you want it, what could go wrong, what information you still need, and what small step you can take without creating unnecessary risk. Complete that step. You do not need to announce it. You do not need everyone to understand it. You need to begin taking responsibility for the direction you have chosen. A future is built through decisions that become actions, and actions that become regular behavior. Other people can advise you, encourage you, challenge you, or disagree with you. Their opinions may be useful, but they cannot replace your responsibility. Gather the facts. Respect people. Accept correction. Make careful choices. Then give those choices enough consistent effort to produce evidence. Your life begins to change when you stop waiting for permission and start taking responsibility for what you do next. Chapter 6. Stay consistent when results take longer. Slow results test your habits more than difficult work does. Hard work can feel satisfying because you know you are doing something difficult. Slow progress is different. You can spend weeks studying, saving, practicing, exercising, or building something without seeing a result that feels impressive. This is where many people change direction too early. They judge the value of their effort by what is visible today instead of what their repeated actions are developing over time. A useful way to understand consistency is to separate effort from immediate evidence. Your body may become stronger before the mirror shows a major change. Your writing may improve before readers notice. Your knowledge may increase before your income changes. Your spending habits may improve before your savings become large. The work can be producing changes that are difficult to see at first. This does not mean every effort will succeed. It means visible results are not always the first sign that useful learning is happening. The first practical lesson is to stop demanding daily proof from long-term goals. Some goals need weeks or months before meaningful measurement becomes possible. Instead of asking whether your entire life changed today, measure the behavior that should eventually create the change. Count study sessions. Track completed projects. Record workouts. Measure money saved. Track applications submitted. Record hours spent practicing. These numbers give you a more stable way to judge your effort, while the larger result is still developing. Consistency also becomes easier when your target is specific. Saying that you will work harder is too vague. Saying that you will study for 45 minutes after dinner is measurable. Saying that you will improve your finances is unclear. Recording every expense for 30 days is measurable. Saying that you will become healthier is broad. Walking for 30 minutes 5 days a week gives you something you can actually perform. Clear behavior reduces the need for constant motivation because you already know what the next action looks like. Another important lesson is to avoid changing the plan every time you feel disappointed. People often mistake activity for progress. They try one method for 2 weeks, see little change, and immediately switch to something new. Then they try another method and repeat the pattern. After several months, they have experience starting, but very little experience staying, with one process long enough to understand it. Before changing your method, decide how much time or how many attempts are needed to judge it fairly. For example, someone learning sales might make 10 calls and receive poor results. That is not enough evidence to declare the method useless. They may need better preparation, a stronger offer, improved communication, or more practice. Instead of changing everything, examine one part at a time. Review what happened, identify the weakest point, improve it, test again. This approach creates useful learning because you can see which change affected the result. Consistency does not mean repeating a bad method forever. That distinction matters. Staying committed to a goal does not require staying loyal to every method you first chose. You can keep the destination while changing the process. A person studying for an exam may discover that rereading notes produces weak memory. They can switch to practice questions. Someone trying to save money may discover that general budgeting does not work. They can automate savings on payday. Consistency means continuing the learning process, not refusing to adjust. Your daily energy also needs management. Many people create schedules that look impressive on paper and fail in real life. They plan 3 hours of study after a long workday. They schedule difficult exercise when they are exhausted. They expect perfect concentration late at night. Then they fail to follow the plan and assume they lack discipline. Sometimes the plan simply does not match their actual energy. Put demanding tasks at times when you are most alert. Keep difficult work realistic. A good routine should be challenging enough to produce progress and realistic enough to repeat. Use the idea of a minimum standard. Decide what you will do even on a bad day. Maybe your normal study session is 1 hour, but your minimum is 15 minutes. Maybe you usually exercise for 40 minutes, but your minimum is 10 minutes of movement. Maybe you normally work on your project for 2 hours, but your minimum is completing one small task. This prevents temporary difficulty from turning into complete inactivity. There is another reason people struggle with slow progress. They compare their beginning with someone else's established results. You may see someone earning more money, speaking confidently, publishing excellent work, or maintaining impressive fitness. You do not see every ordinary day that produced their current ability. Comparison removes the timeline from the picture. Study what they do well, but compare your current behavior with your previous behavior. Ask whether you understand more, perform better, recover faster, or make fewer mistakes than you did 3 months ago. Keep evidence of improvement that your memory can easily forget. Save your old writing. Record your practice times. Keep previous versions of your work. Take monthly measurements where appropriate. Review old notes. This creates a clear record. Human memory often focuses strongly on recent experiences. You may feel like nothing has changed because today's result looks similar to yesterday's. Looking back several months can reveal differences that ordinary daily observation misses. Patience also becomes easier when you understand the role of repetition. Skills become more reliable through repeated exposure to the same type of task. You learn a language by using it repeatedly. You become better at communication by practicing conversations. You improve at managing money by repeatedly making better spending decisions. You improve at work by solving many problems. One successful attempt does not create a stable ability. Repeated correct behavior gives you a stronger base. Do not confuse boredom with lack of progress. Some useful routines become boring because they are familiar. The same workout, the same study desk, the same budgeting review, the same practice session. Your mind may start looking for something more exciting. That does not mean the activity has stopped being useful. You can make small improvements while keeping the core routine stable. Change the exercise slightly. Use a new practice problem. Study a different example. But do not abandon a useful habit simply because it no longer feels new. Your surroundings can also weaken consistency. Keep the tools for your important habit ready. Put the book on your desk. Prepare your workout clothes. Keep your work materials organized. Schedule your practice before distractions fill the day. The fewer steps between you and the desired behavior, the easier it becomes to begin. You are not trying to create a perfect environment. You are reducing unnecessary friction. Pay attention to the language you use after a slow week. Saying that nothing is working can be inaccurate. Maybe your income has not increased, but your skills have improved. Maybe your weight has not changed much, but your endurance has increased. Maybe nobody has noticed your work, but your quality is better. Do not invent progress that is not there, but do not ignore smaller improvements either. Accurate evaluation requires looking at several measurements instead of one dramatic outcome. You should also set review dates rather than reviewing your goal emotionally every evening. Choose a weekly review for short-term habits and a monthly review for larger projects. During the review, examine your behavior, results, problems, and next adjustment. Between review dates, focus on execution. This protects you from changing your plan because of one frustrating afternoon. Your emotions can provide information, but they should not be the only system deciding whether your plan continues. A useful technique is to keep a process goal beside an outcome goal. The outcome might be earning more money. The process could be spending 5 hours each week developing a valuable skill and applying for suitable opportunities. The outcome might be passing an exam. The process could be completing practice questions for 1 hour each weekday. You cannot guarantee the outcome, but you can control much of the process. This distinction reduces helplessness and gives your attention a practical target. There will be days when you question whether your effort is worth continuing. Use those moments to examine evidence rather than emotion. Check your records. Review your original reason. Look at what has improved. Identify what still needs work. Then decide whether the goal itself is wrong or whether your current method needs adjustment. Do not make that decision simply because you had one difficult day. Consistency becomes much stronger when you plan for interruptions. Travel can disrupt your schedule. Family responsibilities can change your available time. Work can become unexpectedly demanding. Illness or exhaustion can reduce your capacity. Build flexible options into your routine. Have a shorter version of the habit. Keep an alternative workout. Carry study material with you. Use a simple task list when your normal schedule breaks. Flexibility protects continuity. The deeper lesson is that long-term progress requires a different relationship with time. You cannot force every result to arrive according to your preferred schedule. You can control the quality and frequency of your actions. You can improve your method. You can gather information. You can correct mistakes. You can keep showing up. This does not guarantee every goal will happen exactly as planned, but it gives you the best chance to discover what is possible. Today, choose one result that has been taking longer than expected. Write down the actions that should support it. Decide what you will measure for the next 30 days. Set a realistic minimum for difficult days. Pick one date for reviewing your progress instead of judging yourself every few hours. Then return to the work. Let the calendar move while you continue learning and improving. Your task is not to force immediate proof. Your task is to become better at the work that creates the result. Chapter 7. Learn from mistakes instead of complaining. A mistake becomes expensive when you repeat it without studying it. Everyone makes poor decisions, misses details, misunderstands situations, and chooses the wrong approach sometimes. The important difference is what happens afterward. One person becomes defensive and spends hours explaining why the mistake happened. Another person examines the event carefully and changes something before trying again. The second person turns an unpleasant experience into useful knowledge. Complaining can feel productive because it gives your mind a clear target. You can blame the customer, the manager, the economy, your family, your circumstances, or another person's decision. There may be genuine problems in the situation, but identifying a problem is not the same as improving your position. The practical question is, what information can be taken from the event and used to make the next decision better? Start by separating responsibility from blame. Responsibility asks what part of the situation was influenced by your choices. Blame asks who deserves punishment. These are very different questions. You may not be responsible for everything that happened, but there is usually something you can examine. Perhaps you did not prepare enough. Perhaps you ignored an early warning. Perhaps you trusted the wrong information. Perhaps you acted too quickly. Finding your part gives you something you can change. Use a mistake review after an important failure. Write down exactly what you expected to happen, then record what actually happened. After that, identify the point where the two paths became different. This is more useful than simply writing that everything went wrong. You are looking for the specific decision, assumption, or action that created the problem. Once you locate that point, you can decide what should change next time. Suppose you start a small online service and receive almost no customers. You could complain that people do not understand quality. You could blame the market. You could say that customers only care about cheap prices. Those statements may contain some truth, but they do not give you enough information to improve. Examine the details. Did you speak to potential customers before creating the service? Was the offer easy to understand? Did you contact enough people? Was the price reasonable? Did you explain the result clearly? Did you make buying simple? Each question leads toward a practical adjustment. This approach also changes how you view embarrassment. People often hide mistakes because they are afraid of looking incompetent. They delete evidence. They avoid discussing what happened. They pretend everything was fine. That protects their image for a short time, but removes valuable information. Keep records of important mistakes. Write down what you did, why you did it, and what happened. You will create a personal record of lessons that can prevent future errors. There is an important difference between a mistake and a lack of knowledge. Sometimes you make a poor decision because you did not know enough. In that case, criticism alone will not solve the problem. You need education. Read the relevant material. Speak with someone experienced. Practice the missing skill. Study examples of successful work. Then return to the task with better information. This is why a mature response to failure often begins with learning rather than self-criticism. You should also examine assumptions. Many mistakes begin before the action itself. You assume someone will respond. You assume the customer wants a certain feature. You assume the exam will focus on specific topics. You assume a friend understands your expectations. You assume a project will take 2 weeks. These assumptions influence your decisions, even though you may never write them down. Before important work, list your major assumptions, then ask which ones can be tested. Testing assumptions early can save enormous amounts of time. A person planning a product can speak with potential users before spending months building it. A student can review previous exam questions before deciding what to study. Someone applying for jobs can research the actual requirements instead of guessing what employers want. A person trying to improve communication can ask someone trusted how their message was received. Small tests can prevent large mistakes. Another useful habit is to distinguish a single mistake from a repeated pattern. Forgetting one appointment is an event. Frequently arriving late is a pattern. Making one poor purchase is an event. Spending beyond your income every month is a pattern. Losing focus during one work session is an event. Checking your phone every few minutes during most work sessions is a pattern. Patterns require systems rather than promises. You may need reminders, automatic payments, a different workspace, or a new schedule. Do not use self-criticism as a substitute for correction. Saying, "I am stupid," does not teach you how to make a better decision. Saying, "I always ruin everything," does not identify the behavior that needs changing. Replace personal attacks with specific observations. I did not check the details. I underestimated the time. I avoided asking for help. I spent money without reviewing the budget. These statements may feel less dramatic, but they are far more useful. Your language affects your ability to solve problems. Vague language creates vague action. Precise language creates possible action. Instead of saying "my business failed," describe the result. The product received 30 visits and 2 purchases. Instead of saying, "I am bad at studying," say, "I studied for 4 hours but remembered very little because I only reread the material." The second statement gives you a clear problem to solve. You might switch to practice questions or active recall. Mistakes also teach you about your own behavior under pressure. Some people rush. Some avoid difficult conversations. Some spend money when stressed. Some become defensive when criticized. Some stop working after one disappointing result. Notice your personal pattern. The event matters, but your response pattern may matter even more. Once you understand how you behave under pressure, you can prepare for it. You can create rules before the next difficult situation arrives. For example, someone who makes poor financial decisions after receiving unexpected income can create an automatic savings rule. Someone who becomes defensive during criticism can wait 10 minutes before responding. Someone who procrastinates on complex tasks can break them into smaller actions. Someone who forgets important deadlines can use calendar reminders. The goal is not to rely on willpower alone. Use simple systems that reduce the chance of repeating known mistakes. There is also value in studying other people's mistakes. You do not need to personally experience every failure to learn from it. Read case studies. Listen carefully to experienced workers. Study failed projects. Look at product reviews. Examine business closures. Learn why certain habits create problems. Ask what decisions were made before the failure. This can save you time because you gain information without paying the full cost yourself. However, be careful with hindsight. After something goes wrong, the correct answer often looks obvious. It was not always obvious before the event. Do not judge your past self as though you had today's information at the time. Examine what you knew then. Ask whether the decision was reasonable based on the evidence available. Then identify what new information you have now. This allows you to learn without becoming trapped in unnecessary regret. A strong mistake review should end with one concrete change, not 10 promises, not a long emotional statement. One change that directly addresses the problem. If you miss deadlines, set an earlier internal deadline. If you misunderstood a customer's needs, conduct more interviews before building. If you overspent, create spending limits. If you failed to prepare for an interview, schedule practice sessions. A correction becomes useful when it changes what you actually do. You can create a weekly learning session for this purpose. Choose one mistake from the week. Describe it without exaggeration. Identify the decision behind it. Find the information you lacked. Decide what you will do differently. Then write one sentence describing the lesson. Keep these notes in one place. After several months, review them. You may notice repeated themes that were difficult to see 1 week at a time. Complaining becomes less attractive when you have a habit of extracting lessons. You begin to see difficult situations differently. A lost opportunity may reveal a skill you need. A poor result may expose weak preparation. A disagreement may show that your communication was unclear. A financial problem may reveal that your spending system was unrealistic. You are not pretending that bad events are good. You are making sure the event produces useful information. There will still be situations where you were treated unfairly. Do not deny that possibility. You can recognize unfair behavior and still examine your own next move. You can report a problem, set a boundary, leave a harmful situation. Seek professional help. Change your strategy. Responsibility does not mean accepting blame for everything. It means refusing to give away your ability to respond. The strongest lesson is that mistakes should change your behavior. If nothing changes, the lesson has not been completed. You may understand the problem intellectually, but still repeat it in practice. Real learning becomes visible through different behavior. You prepare earlier, you check the details, you ask better questions, you pause before reacting, you measure the result, you use the information next time. Today, choose one recent mistake that still bothers you. Write down what you expected, what happened, where the difference began, and what part you could influence. Identify one piece of knowledge you were missing. Then make one adjustment that prevents the same error from happening in the same way. You do not need to spend the evening attacking yourself. Study the event carefully, take the lesson seriously, and use it in your next decision. A useful next step is to keep a small mistake journal and review one entry every Sunday. Chapter 8. Protect your time from unhelpful people. Your time becomes expensive the moment you understand that every hour spent with the wrong person can remove an hour from something important. Not every difficult person is bad. Not every person who disagrees with you is harmful. The real issue is repeated behavior that leaves you distracted, drained, delayed, or pulled away from responsibilities that matter. Learning to protect your time is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming selective with your attention. Start by looking at your actual week instead of guessing where your time goes. For 7 days, record the conversations, meetings, visits, calls, messages, and social activities that take more than a few minutes. Write down how long they lasted and what happened afterward. Notice whether you returned to your work with energy or needed a long period to recover your attention. This exercise often reveals something surprising. The problem may not be one major distraction. It may be many small interruptions that quietly consume the day. Some people do not waste your time intentionally. They may simply have different priorities. A friend may enjoy spending 3 hours discussing other people's lives. You may need that evening to study. A co-worker may enjoy long conversations during work hours. You may have an important deadline. A family member may expect immediate responses to every message. You may need uninterrupted time. The difference does not make either person bad. It means you need clearer boundaries. A boundary becomes useful when it changes behavior. Saying that you value your time means very little if everyone can interrupt you at any moment. Decide when you are available and when you are not. During focused work, silence unnecessary notifications. Put your phone away. Close unrelated tabs. Tell people that you will respond later. Use a specific time for messages rather than checking them every few minutes. Small rules can protect large amounts of attention. One of the least understood costs of interruption is the time required to return to deep concentration. A conversation may take 10 minutes, but the mental disturbance can last much longer. You may return to the task and spend several minutes remembering where you stopped. Then another message appears. Another person asks something. Soon an hour has passed without meaningful progress. This is why protecting blocks of uninterrupted time is more effective than simply trying to work faster. You should also examine the people you regularly discuss your goals with. Some conversations leave you with useful information. Others leave you comparing yourself, defending your choices, or worrying about problems that do not belong to you. Pay attention to the emotional result. After talking to someone, do you understand your next step more clearly? Did you learn something useful? Did the conversation help you solve a problem? Or did you spend most of the time complaining, gossiping, judging, or repeating the same story? A person does not need to be negative all the time to become unhelpful to your progress. Sometimes the problem is simply that the relationship takes more time than you can reasonably give. This is important because it allows you to make better decisions without turning people into enemies. You can care about someone and still reduce how often you meet. You can answer a message later. You can decline an invitation. You can leave a conversation after a reasonable amount of time. Learn to say no without creating a long explanation. Many people waste time because they believe every refusal needs a detailed defense. It does not. A simple statement can be enough. I cannot join tonight. I have work to finish. I am not available this weekend. I need to focus on something important. The more you explain, the more opportunities you may create for someone to negotiate your decision. A clear response protects both your time and your relationship. There is another habit worth changing. Stop answering every message immediately. Instant responses train other people to expect instant access to you. You may begin checking your phone during meals, study sessions, meetings, and conversations. Your attention becomes divided throughout the day. Choose specific periods for communication. You can still respond quickly to genuine emergencies, but ordinary messages do not require constant availability. Your closest relationships deserve special attention. Protecting your time does not mean treating loved ones as interruptions. It means giving important people proper attention instead of giving everyone random pieces of your day. A focused conversation with a family member can be more meaningful than checking your phone while pretending to listen. Put the device away. Sit down. Listen carefully. Give that person your attention for a defined period. Good boundaries can improve relationships because they create better quality time. Workplaces can create another challenge. Some co-workers use conversation to avoid their own responsibilities. Others interrupt because they need help. You should learn the difference. Helping someone solve a genuine work problem can be valuable. Repeatedly allowing unnecessary interruptions can damage your own performance. Ask what they need. If the issue is important, give it a suitable time. If it can wait, tell them when you can respond. This keeps cooperation without sacrificing your entire schedule. You also need to protect your time from people who constantly create unnecessary drama. Their problems may be real, but you are not required to become available every time something happens. Listening to a friend during a difficult moment can be part of a healthy relationship. Becoming their permanent source of emotional management is different. You can care while still encouraging them to handle responsibilities themselves or seek appropriate professional support when necessary. Be careful with gossip as well. Gossip feels like social connection because it gives people something to discuss, but it often produces no useful result. One conversation can turn into another and another. You learn information that does not improve your life, while losing time that could have been used for something important. You do not need to lecture people about gossip. Simply change the subject or leave the conversation. Your own habits may be responsible for more lost time than other people. This is worth admitting because it gives you greater control. You may blame friends for distracting you while you are the one checking your phone every 5 minutes. You may blame co-workers while you spend long periods browsing unrelated websites. You may blame social invitations while accepting every invitation. Protecting your time begins with personal honesty. Look at your own choices before placing all responsibility on others. Create a daily priority list with only a few important tasks. Put the hardest task at a time when interruptions are least likely. Tell the people around you that you need focused time. Then make the environment match the decision. Silence notifications. Prepare the materials. Keep water nearby. Close unnecessary applications. Put the phone out of reach. A protected hour should look different from an ordinary hour. You can also create communication windows. Perhaps you check messages at noon and again in the evening. Perhaps you return calls after finishing your main work. The exact schedule depends on your responsibilities. The principle is simple. Communication should have a place in your day, instead of controlling the entire day. This gives you greater control over attention without requiring you to disappear from other people. Another practical tool is the time budget. Give different activities a weekly limit. Work may require a certain number of hours. Exercise may require several sessions. Family time may require regular evenings. Learning may require dedicated blocks. Social activities may receive a smaller amount. Once your important responsibilities have space, you can decide what remains. This prevents social activity from expanding until it consumes every available hour. Do not confuse busyness with connection. Spending hours with people does not automatically create strong relationships. Quality matters. A short conversation where both people are present can be more valuable than an entire afternoon spent together while everyone is distracted. This idea can help you reduce unnecessary social time without becoming socially isolated. Choose fewer activities and participate more fully in them. You may discover that certain relationships become uncomfortable after you establish boundaries. Someone may say you have changed. Someone may complain that you are too busy. Someone may expect the same access they had before. Listen to reasonable concerns, but remember that changing your schedule is not automatically disrespectful. Your responsibilities have changed. Your goals have changed. Your available time may have changed. Healthy relationships can adjust to reasonable boundaries. There is also a deeper lesson about attention. Time is measured in hours, but your attention determines what those hours produce. Two people can have the same amount of time and create completely different results because one person works with concentration while the other spends the day switching between conversations, messages, entertainment, and tasks. Protecting your time, therefore, requires protecting your ability to concentrate. Tonight, look at tomorrow's schedule and choose one block that must remain uninterrupted. Decide what you will accomplish during that period. Inform anyone who needs to know that you will be unavailable. Remove the phone from your workspace. Begin at the scheduled time. Do not wait for the perfect mood. Complete the block and record what you achieved. This small experiment will show you how much work becomes possible when your attention is protected. Your goal is not to remove every unhelpful person from your life. Your goal is to stop allowing unhelpful patterns to control your schedule. Be respectful. Be available to people who genuinely need you. Give loved ones meaningful attention. Help where help is appropriate, but keep enough time protected for the responsibilities that shape your future. Your calendar should show that your priorities are real. Tomorrow, protect one important hour and let that hour belong completely to the work that matters most. Chapter 9. Become strong enough to trust yourself. Self-trust is not something you receive because you want it badly. It develops through repeated evidence that your decisions can guide your behavior. A person who trusts themselves does not believe every decision will be correct. They know they can examine a problem, make a reasonable choice, accept the result, and correct the mistake. That is a much stronger form of confidence because it does not require perfect certainty. Many people say they do not trust themselves because they have made poor choices in the past. But past mistakes do not have to become permanent proof that you are unreliable. They can become information about how you need to make decisions differently. Perhaps you acted too quickly. Perhaps you ignored important facts. Perhaps you followed pressure from other people. Perhaps you avoided an uncomfortable truth. The useful response is not to hate the old decision. It is to understand the process that created it. Start by examining your decision history. Choose 5 important decisions from the past year. Write down what you chose, what information you had, what you expected, and what actually happened. Then look for patterns. Did you make decisions while angry? Did you delay difficult choices? Did you choose what made other people happy? Did you ignore financial details? Did you act without enough information? This exercise can reveal the real reason your confidence in yourself may be weak. Self-trust grows through accurate self-knowledge. You need to know your strengths, but you also need to know where you are unreliable. A person who knows they often procrastinate can build earlier deadlines. Someone who becomes emotional during conflict can wait before responding. Someone who spends impulsively can create automatic savings. Someone who changes goals too often can commit to a fixed review period. Knowing your weaknesses does not make you weaker. It allows you to design around them. There is another important part of trusting yourself. Keep small promises before expecting yourself to handle large ones. Choose a commitment that is realistic and measurable. You might decide to read 10 pages each evening. You might choose to walk for 20 minutes every morning. You might decide to complete one important task before entertainment. Then do it consistently. Each completed promise becomes evidence. You begin to see yourself as someone whose decisions have consequences in real life. Do not make promises that depend on perfect conditions. Saying you will study for 4 hours every day may sound impressive, but it can be difficult to maintain alongside work and family responsibilities. A smaller commitment that you actually keep can build more self-trust than an ambitious plan that collapses after 3 days. The goal is not to impress yourself with the size of the promise. The goal is to create reliable behavior. Your internal voice also matters. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself after a mistake. A harsh internal voice may say that you cannot be trusted because you failed again. A useful internal voice asks what happened and what needs to change. This does not mean giving yourself excuses. It means using language that leads toward correction. A person who constantly attacks themselves may feel intense emotion, but learn very little. A person who studies their behavior can make a specific improvement. You should also stop asking for opinions on every small decision. Advice has value when another person has knowledge or experience that you lack. But asking everyone about every choice can weaken your ability to judge situations yourself. You may start collecting opinions instead of making decisions. Choose carefully who you consult. Ask people who understand the subject. Listen to their reasoning. Then make your own choice and accept responsibility for it. There is a useful rule for everyday decisions. Gather enough information to avoid obvious mistakes, then act before endless research becomes another form of avoidance. You will rarely know everything. A person choosing a course cannot predict every result. Someone accepting a job cannot know every future challenge. Someone starting a project cannot know exactly how customers will respond. Good judgment means making the best reasonable decision from the information available rather than waiting for complete certainty. Trusting yourself also requires learning to tolerate disagreement. Someone can disagree with your choice without proving that your choice is wrong. Listen carefully. Ask why they disagree. Check whether they have information you missed. If they raise a valid concern, adjust your plan. If their argument has no useful evidence, you can continue without becoming angry. You do not need everyone around you to share your opinion before you can move forward. Your body can also affect your ability to trust your own judgment. Poor sleep, constant stress, hunger, and exhaustion can make ordinary decisions feel much harder. This is not an excuse for poor behavior. It is a practical reason to take care of basic physical needs. A tired person may react quickly. A rested person may notice details. Protecting sleep, food, movement, and quiet time can improve the quality of your decisions. Create periods of quiet thinking during the week. Sit without your phone for 15 or 20 minutes. Review what you are doing and why you are doing it. Ask whether your current behavior matches your stated priorities. This is not about sitting and waiting for a perfect answer. Write down specific concerns. Identify the next decision. Decide what information is missing. Then take action. Quiet reflection becomes useful when it leads to clearer behavior. You should also learn to distinguish intuition from fear. Intuition can sometimes reflect patterns you have learned through experience. Fear can also create a strong feeling without reliable evidence. Do not automatically obey either one. Examine the facts. Ask what specifically concerns you. Look for evidence that supports the concern. Look for evidence against it. If necessary, test the situation in a smaller way. This process helps you make decisions based on more than emotion. Another way to build self-trust is to finish things. People who frequently abandon commitments can lose confidence in their own ability to follow through. You do not need to finish every project you ever start. Some projects should be stopped because they are no longer useful. But make that decision consciously. Do not quit simply because the work became boring. Decide why you are stopping. Record what you learned. Then choose what deserves your attention next. There is a difference between changing your mind and being inconsistent. Changing your mind after receiving new information can be a sign of good judgment. Changing your mind every time you feel uncomfortable can be avoidance. Learn to identify the reason for the change. Did the facts change? Did the goal change? Did the risk become larger? Did you discover a better option? Or did you simply lose motivation? Honest answers make your decisions stronger. Financial decisions are an excellent place to practice self-trust. Set a spending limit before shopping. Wait 24 hours before buying something expensive. Track recurring expenses. Review your bank statements regularly. Keep a savings target. These actions create evidence that you can control behavior even when temptation appears. Financial self-trust does not come from earning a large amount of money. It begins with knowing where your money goes and making decisions deliberately. The same applies to your use of technology. Decide when you will check social media instead of allowing notifications to decide for you. Remove applications that repeatedly consume time you need for important work. Keep your phone away during focused tasks. At the end of the day, check your usage. The point is not to become perfect with technology. It is to prove to yourself that you can choose your attention instead of automatically following every notification. Your relationships can provide another test. Say what you mean clearly. Do not promise what you cannot provide. Do not agree simply because you are afraid of disappointing someone. Keep private commitments. Admit when you are wrong. Apologize without adding excuses. These behaviors create respect for yourself because you know your words have substance. Trust becomes stronger when your actions and statements consistently match. There will be times when you make a decision and regret it. Do not expect self-trust to mean never experiencing regret. Mature confidence includes the ability to say that I made the best choice I could with the information I had, and I will learn from what happened. Sometimes you will discover that the choice was poor. Accept it. Correct what can be corrected. Do not spend months trying to become the person who would have known everything beforehand. Your past should be used as evidence, not as a prison. Look at what you have already survived, learned, repaired, and improved. Notice where you became more responsible. Notice which habits you changed. Notice the skills you developed through repetition. This is not about creating a flattering story. It is about recognizing actual evidence of growth. You are allowed to use your own history as proof that change is possible. Build a personal standard for decisions. Before important choices, ask 5 things. What do I know? What do I not know? What could go wrong? What can I do to reduce that risk? What is the next reasonable step? Write the answers when the decision matters. This process slows down emotional reactions and improves clarity. Over time, you may find that you need less outside reassurance because you have a method you trust. Self-trust becomes especially important during lonely periods. Nobody may be available to tell you what to do. You may have to choose the next step yourself. In those moments, your preparation matters. The habits you built during ordinary days become useful because you have already practiced making decisions, keeping commitments, and reviewing mistakes. Strength is not created during the crisis alone. It is developed through the ordinary decisions you make before the crisis arrives. Do not wait to feel completely confident before trusting yourself. Start by becoming more reliable in small areas. Make fewer promises and keep more of them. Gather better information. Review your choices. Correct mistakes quickly. Ask qualified people for advice when needed. Protect your health and attention. Make decisions based on facts rather than pressure. Every one of these actions gives you evidence that your judgment can improve. Tonight, choose one small promise you can keep tomorrow without needing anyone else to remind you. Write it down, make it specific, complete it at the planned time. Then record what happened. Repeat this process until keeping your own word becomes normal. That is where stronger self-trust begins. Chapter 10. Finish what you started without applause. Starting something can feel exciting because the first days are full of possibility. Finishing requires a different kind of discipline. The new idea feels fresh. The unfinished project feels familiar. The early excitement disappears. Problems become visible. Other people may stop asking about it. Nobody may notice the hours you continue putting in. This is the stage where many people leave good work unfinished and then wonder why they struggle to build anything meaningful. Finishing is a skill that can be trained. It is not simply a personality trait that some people have and others do not. You become better at finishing by learning how to define completion, reduce unnecessary work, manage boredom, solve problems, and continue after the emotional excitement has disappeared. Once you understand this, you can stop waiting to feel inspired and start building a process that carries important work toward a clear end. Begin by defining what finished actually means. Many projects remain open because the person never created a clear finish line. They say they want to write a book, improve their English, build a business, organize their finances, or learn a skill. These are directions rather than completion points. A clear definition could be completing the first full draft, finishing a specific course, creating a working version of a service, recording all expenses for 3 months, or completing 100 practice sessions. Your brain works better with a clear target than with a vague intention. Take one unfinished project from your life and write down exactly what remains. Do not write that there is a lot left. Break the remaining work into visible actions. Open the document, edit Chapter 3, contact the designer, check the numbers, submit the application, test the product, schedule the meeting. Small actions reduce the mental weight of unfinished work because you can see what must happen next. There is another reason people leave projects incomplete. They confuse difficulty with a signal to stop. A project becomes harder than expected, and they assume they chose the wrong goal. Sometimes that is true. Sometimes the difficulty is simply part of the work. You need to examine the reason before making the decision. Is the project no longer useful? Have your circumstances changed? Did you discover a serious problem? Or are you simply tired of doing something that has become repetitive? These situations require different responses. Do not finish everything just because you started it. That would create another problem. Some commitments should be abandoned. A project may become financially harmful. A goal may no longer match your responsibilities. New information may show that the original plan was poor. Finishing wisely means knowing when to continue and when to stop. The difference is that you make the decision deliberately instead of quitting automatically whenever the work becomes uncomfortable. Set a completion rule before you begin major projects. Decide what conditions must be met for the work to be considered complete. This prevents endless improvement from becoming another form of procrastination. A person may keep editing because the work never feels perfect. A business owner may keep changing the product without releasing it. A student may keep preparing without taking the exam. Completion requires accepting that useful work can be finished before it becomes perfect. Perfection can quietly destroy productivity because it gives you an excuse to delay exposure to judgment. An unfinished project cannot be criticized in its complete form because nobody sees the final version. A finished project can be evaluated. That can feel uncomfortable. But evaluation is necessary for improvement. You learn more from a completed piece of work than from an idea that remains inside your head. Learn to use deadlines that create real consequences. A deadline without a consequence can become a suggestion. Choose a date. Decide what will happen on that date. Tell a responsible person when appropriate. Schedule the final review. Reserve the time needed to finish. If you are working on a personal project, put the deadline on your calendar and treat it as seriously as an appointment. Your schedule should show that completion is a real responsibility. Break large work into finishing sessions. Instead of saying you will complete the project this week, decide what will be completed today. A 2-hour session might be enough to finish a specific section. Tomorrow you complete another section. This gives you frequent evidence of movement. You can see the project becoming smaller. That visible reduction can be more useful than waiting for a final burst of energy. You should also protect the last stage of a project from unnecessary distractions. People often become less careful near the end because they are mentally tired. They start checking messages. They begin another project. They reorganize their workspace. They research unrelated topics. These activities can feel productive because they are easier than completing the difficult final steps. Notice the pattern. When the work is almost finished, your mind may look for something easier. Return your attention to the remaining task. Applause can create another problem. Some people work hardest when other people are watching. They enjoy announcing the project, receiving compliments, and talking about what they are building. Once attention disappears, their effort decreases. Learn to measure completion instead of recognition. Ask how much of the project is finished. Ask whether the quality has improved. Ask what remains. These questions keep your attention connected to the work itself. There is nothing wrong with enjoying praise. Recognition can feel good. The problem begins when praise becomes the reason you continue. People will not always notice your effort. Some work is private. Some results take time. Some achievements are useful without being impressive to anyone else. You must be able to continue during those quiet periods. This is especially important for learning, saving money, improving health, writing, and building professional skills. A practical method is to keep a completion list rather than only a to-do list. A to-do list shows unfinished responsibilities. A completion list shows evidence of what you have actually completed. At the end of each week, record finished projects, finished tasks, completed practice sessions, and decisions that have been closed. This can reveal a common problem. You may discover that you are constantly starting new tasks while leaving old ones open. The solution is not more motivation. It is fewer active commitments. Limit the number of projects you work on at the same time. Too many open projects divide attention and create mental pressure. Choose one major project and a small number of supporting responsibilities. Finish one meaningful stage before adding another major commitment. This does not mean your life must become rigid. It means you stop allowing every new idea to become a new obligation. New ideas are often exciting because they have no visible problems yet. An unfinished project has problems you already know about. This makes the new idea feel easier. Be careful. Starting something new may provide temporary relief from the difficult part of finishing the old project. Before beginning another major project, ask yourself whether you are escaping an existing responsibility. If the answer is yes, complete one important stage of the current work first. You should also create a stopping point for research. Research is useful before action, but unlimited research can become avoidance. Decide what information you need before you begin. Gather it. Make the decision. Start. Later information may require adjustments. That is normal. A person who keeps researching forever can feel productive without producing anything. Completion requires moving from learning to execution. The final stages of work often require practical problem solving. Something does not fit. A file is missing. A customer does not respond. A technical issue appears. A person becomes unavailable. Do not treat every obstacle as a reason to stop. Identify the problem precisely. List possible solutions. Choose the simplest reasonable option. Test it. If it fails, try another. This process keeps your attention on solving rather than complaining. There will also be emotional resistance near the finish. You may feel tired of looking at the same material. You may worry that the final result will not be good enough. You may remember every mistake you made. You may fear what people will say once they see the finished work. Notice those feelings without allowing them to make the decision. Feelings can be present while the task is completed. You do not need to remove discomfort before taking the next action. Use a final review checklist for important work. Check accuracy. Check missing parts. Check deadlines. Check quality. Check whether the work actually solves the original problem. Then make the necessary corrections. A checklist is useful because tiredness can reduce attention during the final stage. You do not need to rely entirely on memory when a simple written system can protect you from avoidable mistakes. Finishing also teaches you something important about your own character. Every completed project gives you evidence that you can carry responsibility from beginning to end. You learn how to handle boredom, uncertainty, mistakes, delays, and criticism. You also learn how to close a commitment instead of leaving it permanently open. That experience becomes useful for the next challenge because you understand what the final stage requires. Do not wait for people to notice that you finished. Complete the work because completion has value. A finished skill can be used. A finished application can be submitted. A finished course can increase knowledge. A finished budget can clarify your finances. A finished project can be evaluated. An unfinished idea cannot provide the same practical benefit. Today, choose one project you have delayed for too long. Write down the exact definition of finished. List the remaining actions. Remove anything that is not necessary. Set a realistic completion date. Give the project a protected work period and complete the next visible step. Do not announce the decision. Do not wait for someone to encourage you. Work until there is less unfinished work than there was yesterday. Your life will contain many beginnings, but your results will depend heavily on what you complete. Start carefully. Learn along the way. Change your method when evidence requires it. Accept that some work will be imperfect, then close the commitment and move forward. The satisfaction of finishing may be quiet, and nobody may applaud, but the completed work remains real. That is enough reason to take the final step. A useful next step is to make a short completion list tonight and choose the one unfinished task that deserves your attention first tomorrow. You have reached the end of do it alone until you win, but the real work begins after these words. There will be days when nobody asks about your progress. There will be moments when your effort feels unnoticed. Some people may doubt your choices. Some plans may fail. Some results may take longer than you expected. None of that removes your responsibility to keep improving. Remember this simple rule. Your life changes when you stop waiting for support and start becoming your own support. Do not leave this audiobook with only strong feelings. Leave with one decision. Choose one habit you need to build, one distraction you need to remove, and one unfinished task you need to complete. Work quietly. Learn from what goes wrong. Protect your time. Keep your promises to yourself. Let your actions become stronger than your explanations. You do not need everyone to understand your journey. You need enough discipline to continue it. Come back to this audiobook whenever doubt returns, not because you need another motivational speech, but because you may need to remember what you already decided. Start today. Stay consistent. Keep improving. And keep going until your results speak for you.